Welcome to day 5 of scrapbooking classes, a week of webisodes. I hope you've enjoyed this week, because we certainly have. Today we're going to take a peek into our August 2014 scrapbooking classes personal shopper kit, and it's got some wonderful things.
Like our 2 brand new hot off the press 6x6 stencils, which are just beautiful. We have embossing paste and a beautiful pink tinsel, and we're going to use them all together.
That's right, and lots more things too.
Come play with us.
Well, here's the newsletter, and every day this week we have focused on one kit. This time it's August, and these are from our personal shopper scrapbooking classes kits. It's a monthly kind of pizza box a month type of concept right to your door. So if classes are of interest, this just might be the ticket for you.
Plus it means you get it before anybody else does when you're a member.
Ah, that's right. That's true of the papers and true of many of the things. Now, the letter that I write tells you a little bit about the techniques, but also gives you some additional tips, and we'll be sharing some of those. There's members only pricing. And then just so you can see, the pages are shown really in nice large photos so that you really can see what's going on.
Right, and they're very detailed instructions, and they're showing the techniques in there, so you're getting that class right there in the newsletter.
Right, and lots of step-by-step, not only instructions, but close-up photos.
Right.
And there's also a card. So let's show you what is in the August kit. Now, you mentioned that there are the stencils. There are the 2 6x6 stencils, butterflies, and frames. And we also have, to go with that, the embossing paste and a mini squeegee for applying it.
Right, to make it super easy, to make beautiful designs.
And then we have a whole sheet of alphabet stickers, so that's a nice bonus.
Those are lots of fun on these pages.
I didn't count, but I bet there's over 100 easily.
There's a lot on there, that's for sure. There are lots of embellishments that go with this kit. Some of our great ribbons, there's 2 feet of each of these ribbons, and there's unique ribbons in here you're not going to find in other ribbon sets that we carry. There is this great wide web that's in this one, this great fuzzy pink stuff on fiber.
Like a chenille.
Yeah, like chenille-ish in a pink. There's a bright grosgrain, a nice wide pale pink crepe. You've got a little bit of a 1/4-inch grosgrain, and this really shimmery, glimmery, sparkly black stuff that's kind of fun.
Shimmery, glimmery, sparkly.
So those are the ribbons. You get a whole big kind of a boatload of buttons there, so lots of buttons to play with. You get these mini templates.
Now, you've seen those several months, and it's an exclusive that we have here at Hot Off the Press, and they are only available in the kit, so that's kind of special.
And these are label shapes, which you can use them on your scrapbook. You can use them as templates to cut out from papers or cardstock. Use them over and over if you like. And then this great little package of tinsel. It's pink tinsel, embossing tinsel. So it's got embossing powder and tinsel and glitter in there. And wait till you see what we do with that.
I was just going to say, wait till you see what we do with that. Okay, let's go with the papers. Now, in the newsletter, it's going to tell you that this was tentatively called Pink Champagne, but when it's released in January, because remember, personal shopper members get them first, it's actually going to be called On Butterfly Wings, because I changed it, because that's why. But
there's butterflies, that's good.
Yeah, there's butterflies all over it. As we get in closer, you're going to see just the richness that's going on in the art. So you can see, obviously, butterflies, scrolls, flowers, text. There's just all sorts of layers.
Marquees in there, an old vintage phonograph and typewriters. This is great. It's like collage, but it's subdued so it doesn't overpower the paper.
Now this is a double-sided paper, so there's going to be the micro dot in the black on the back, and again the scuffing is there, the added depth is there. This is a black and white, as you can see, just a beautiful design. I just absolutely love that. On the back side, you're going to see all of those kind of old-fashioned advertisements, but again, look through those, look at the text, and you can see the postmarks, all kinds of imagery going on. And here is a very soft pink with that flourish and ivy going
Tiny
on.
florals going on too, just beautiful.
And again, the scuffing behind it. We also have an ivory, and you can see the tone on tone with those flourishes, just beautiful. And then just as I'm sliding these, you can see how perfectly they coordinate. This is the stripe, and very often there's a stripe, and you can see many of the elements, or all of the elements, are shown in here.
My favorite, the typewritten letters. Oh, that's wonderful.
You like that?
Yeah.
Very pretty. And then we have a black that has some imagery going on the left side. And on the back of that, there is all of those old-fashioned icons on a brown this time. I don't think I showed the back of that one.
Oh,
this has a brown dot. You can see the browns are going to coordinate perfectly. And then going into this very lovely and very gentle roses with the butterflies, and in the background, more texture. And then the last one is a pink. It's a tone on tone. It does have dots on top, but you can see that there's flourishes on the underneath, and then over in the corner there are some additional swirls going on. So that is called Pink Champagne in the newsletter, but it's going to be on butterfly rings when everyone else gets it in January. Now the second set is only available in this personal shopper kit, and it's called Dream Weaver. And you can see it's just a very beautiful color combination. And we can do our little dance of how we can play with a double page spread, especially if I scoot the other things out of the way. And you can go like this, which I think is pretty charming. Or you can play lots of games with these. And I think doing that little dance just really gives you a few more options.
Sure. I love in the background that there's very large, I mean, you've got this dream catcher right here, but then you've got a large one overall in that background. It's kind of hard to see close up, but when you get away, you can really see that.
Nonetheless, it's there, isn't it? I love the color combination. That's so fun. This is a single-sided paper collection, so we're going to have that bright pink. Again, there's texture going on. Then we have a black, and it's got some of this zigzag going on behind it.
Almost a southwestern look a little bit.
It kind of does, and over in some of the areas there's some green behind it. It's kind of subtle as I move this around. Then we have an all-over floral, just a beautiful collection there. Again, you can see that zigzag in the back and the florals on top, and the circles that are so popular in the Dreamweaver
and that beautiful
look.
Teal that's picked up.
The tone on tone. And then a stripe that is doing the triangles, and which when they're cut in half become a zigzag. So that is our last one. So we're going to get into our projects, and are you ready?
Ready.
This is so gorgeous. I didn't know you could do this. I really didn't. And this is quite amazing. So we are taking that butterfly, well actually we're taking both of the, oh no, I guess we're just taking the butterfly stencil.
Right.
Pull it in over here. So we're taking the butterfly here, and we're positioning it in place, putting some stencil tape down or just holding it, and using the squeegee to put the embossing paste,
right onto the background paper. That it looks to me, when you pull that stencil away, it looks to me like it's a separate piece, but it was done right on the background paper there, and then it was cut under this end to set the other elements underneath it. So it's just an amazing piece, and it's just done with embossing paste and the tinsel. And I can show you how that's done.
Okay, well let me scoot this out of the way.
All right, well I've got the large stencil here. I'm going to do it on a small area so we can do it a little quickly.
Okay.
And so Lene also did these on black cardstock, so it's the same effect. And I've got the mini squeegee, I've got the embossing paste here. You want to remember to put the lid on your embossing paste whenever you're not using it so it doesn't dry out. And you just grab a little of that paste. I'm putting the lid on off camera and then just run it over that. If you want, you can mask off the edges of the stencil so that you won't risk getting it on the cardstock. I'm just going to try to be careful here. That's about it.
Yeah.
Pull that off. And there you go. So that's how we start.
That's amazing. The thing that is such a surprise to me is that you're just putting the paste in the area from the cardstock to the top of the stencil,
Right.
which is very, very small space. But it's enough depth, and I don't know if I can even show it to you there, but it's enough depth that it still stays flat, but it is raised, and it's just a beautiful look.
Right, but we're not
Step
done.
2.
We're not done. I have embossing tinsel. I have it here in a container, and I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle it on there. It doesn't really take very much.
Now, by the way, the embossing tinsel that we used in the kit is from Stampendous, and it is an embossing powder. It's just that it has the glitter in it, which is the
Right.
tinsel-y part of
Right,
it.
and what's it called? It's called Vintage Pink.
Right.
Vintage Pink embossing powder. It has that tinsel, and the embossing part, if you were to heat it, it would emboss like any other embossing powder, and the tinsel would stay in it. So I'm just going to sort of shake it on. You have to make sure you put it on while the embossing paste is still wet.
Right.
And you can see it just sticks.
Wow.
And Lene didn't even heat it with a heat gun after this. Even though it has that embossing powder in there, it sticks to the paste, and when it's dry, it looks like that page.
It looks like this. And then, as you said, after it's dry, which is, maybe an hour, maybe less, kind of depending on the humidity and so forth where you live, but just cutting around the edge of that and slipping in her matted photo. But as separate pieces, on the edge of the stencil, there is this really pretty corner treatment.
Which was just done with white embossing paste on black cardstock. You let it dry, and then you just cut out around it.
Right, and she's done it in 3 areas and placed it onto the background paper. We'll back up a bit. And really, there's not a whole lot more.
Right.
But there is a bit. So there's a rectangle of the pattern paper here, and then a strip of the stripe going down. And voila, that is done, and it is gorgeous. Now, this piece, I bet, was done with the mini template.
With one of the mini templates, so traced on cardstock, cut out, and the edges were inked.
Now, this is the companion page, same idea, but this time we are bringing in the second stencil, and you can see right there is where that center area is used.
So just the center area was done, and it was done on one of the mini templates used as a template to cut out that cardstock.
And just like you did some of the little butterflies, there are 3 of them on this page.
Do a few of those, let them dry, cut them out. So remember, you need a time frame where you can let embossing paste dry before you come back and put your photos on.
And notice when it was cut out, just a little narrow border of the black was allowed to show.
That way it mats the work.
And then as we back up, you can also see that this has some of those same elements of squares, rectangles of the pattern paper laid down, and then a larger mat for each of them, but the same matting has been done.
A couple of those buttons have been threaded with the ribbon and just zotted right there on the left.
And so isn't that a glorious way to begin?
That is just beautiful. Those papers are just wonderful. They make such a nice background, that black in the back.
And here's more. Let me bring this
And then
in.
the lighter papers as a background. Those beautiful butterflies.
Now this is a similar idea, right, going on?
Similar, well, sort of. You're going to use the stencil.
Okay.
But you're not going to use the embossing paste. So you can use a stencil with more than just embossing paste. I have the butterfly here, and I've masked off the areas down below just to make sure I don't get anything through that.
Post-it notes on it.
Some Post-it notes on there. And I'm going to set that on the paper because this one is going to be cut out afterwards. You get Versamark. And I didn't grab ahead of time a sponge to make it easy to apply. I'm going to apply Versamark over it, and then we're going to sprinkle the embossing tinsel on it.
Okay.
So just get some of that Versamark. I might just do like a wing on this one instead of doing the whole thing. So we'll just start working here. You want to make sure that the Versamark is getting all of the areas through the stencil. And let's see, Susan noted that when she did this, she actually made it a little darker on the edges. She inked through, that's right, she inked through with black ink first through the outer edges. So she had that before she did the Versamark. And I sort of forgot about that.
Well, and that's the idea of the classes, is that we want to get you started, and members have said they like getting this kind of hors d'oeuvre bits of product, so they have a chance to play with it and see if that's something they want to do more, or maybe they want to adapt, or kind of use it as a springboard for more creativity down the road.
Well, good, yeah.
And that's what's going on here.
Little bits of classes that you can take and take what you like and leave the rest. So that Versamark is on there. It's a sticky element that will make that embossing tinsel to stick. And I didn't mask off the edges, so if I did that, I would do that and remove it wherever I don't want it to be. But that's how she made the butterfly wing, and then we can go ahead and heat emboss it, and I can show you that if you like. Okay, so
Shall
we'll
I scoot this out of your
let's
way?
do that. Yeah. And I'll grab the heat gun. And it doesn't take very long to go ahead and emboss that. But now, as I'm thinking about that, the black edge on there, so what she would have done was to take a sponge and like a black StazOn or something like that, and just ink around the edges first. So that outer line would be black. And then when you put the embossing powder on top of it, the Versamark and then the embossing powder, we'll show you in a second, that you'll have a black ring on the outer edge. And so there it is. It's embossed. And then you can cut that out like you see on the page.
Right, so that was a separate one. And then she did do a little butterfly, again, using the mini templates as a pattern. I like this journaling of just each word separately done, and I think that works just really, really nicely.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe that these, all of those buttons started out as kind of an orange color, but now they're more in the black tone. You can do that with a marker, or you can do that with an ink pad, either way.
Right.
There we go, we've got more here, fun times. So for those of you who do a marginal journaling, this is really a nice technique to use if you're not doing any storytelling.
Right.
And that great big wide ribbon, just beautiful on the edge there.
That is beautiful. I like the treatment of the buttons, which have been inked, by the way. You remember those buttons were orange or brown, and you just use some StazOn on there, and you can ink them the color that you need.
You can do that. You can use a permanent marker, so just whatever. Right. There's that chenille, just a soft touch on this very soft-looking feminine page. The companion page is going to have the same elements going on, more of the butterflies, as you can see.
More of the buttons. You've got that little chenille ribbon just lining the bottom of that one. And I like the strategic use of two little photos side by side with one butterfly right in the center. It sort of connects them.
A little folded area of the ribbon there, and just a knotted one there going horizontally, and again that same shape, or I guess this is a larger one. Beautiful in the dark browns with the pink next to it.
It is. It's just beautiful.
Yes, very nice. Best friends.
I like the. Did you already talk about the lacing of the buttons?
No, I didn't. Let's get in close.
That's something that Susan came up with a long time ago, just using tiny, thin little, like 1/16 of an inch wide strips of paper to lace your buttons to get it to match everything else that's in your spread there.
And I have a bias about buttons. I don't know if I've shared this, but I often have seen buttons just kind of put on a project, and unless they're threaded in some way, to me, they look unfinished. Personal bias here. So
we thread all our buttons here at Hot Off the Press.
I really appreciate it. But I love this idea of those slivers of paper because it lets you match them to whatever you have.
Right.
And that's just because you've got paper, of course. So that's a nice way.
Yep.
Now, our card is also using this combination of papers, and this time a mixture of the two stencils.
Right. Two stencils and I believe inks, not
or chalks, either
inks
way.
Or chalks. So it's in the newsletter. It tells you which. But just go ahead and put ink right through there. You can use a sponge if it's ink, or you can use the chalk and the little applicator that goes with the chalk. But I just love that really kind of a faded, hazy look. It's just beautiful.
And it's nice to combine them and to do different colors. So the pink there, the brown on the outside, brown on the center. Those are the stickers, the alphabet stickers.
Right. So any word that you want, it can go in there. Any kind of sentiment.
So very sweet. Again, that little soft edge going on. Now we're going to go into the second set of papers, and here is our first. And I have to tell you, I love the transparency of this butterfly kind of going over into the flowers and also nesting right next to the photographs.
Right, and that was done with Perfect Pearls, and it's a newer set called Confections. They're just beautiful colors on there.
Now, Perfect Pearls is going to give you that pearlized look. Now, in the newsletter, we tell you that you could substitute this with chalks. There are some metallic chalks or just regular chalks. So again, we want to give you more ideas, give you a taste of something as we've done with the embossing paste, but also to kind of step that up, and you can see what's going on here. You're going to show how to do that?
I am.
Okay.
So here's my set of Perfect Pearls. It comes with 4 colors. It comes with 2 brushes, a large and a small, and the Perfect Medium, which is a little like Versamark. It helps you to stick the perfect pearls. And yeah, Perfect Pearls.
Right.
So
that's what you're using.
I've got the stencil here. I'm just going to set it down here. For a long-term basis, I would tape this down, but I'm just going to sort of hold it. And you can use it straight from there. You can just pounce it all over, or you can get a sponge out, whichever you think will work best for you. And I'm going to push it into, oh yeah, it's a nice juicy one, so this will work just fine. Pounce it over the entire image. I think I'll probably just do part of it for our sake. So there, we've got that through there.
Oh, one note, and this is given to you in the newsletter, is that whenever you're using any of these mediums, especially the embossing paste, you do want to clean off your stencil right away. You don't want to let it dry.
In fact, if I'm working on something and I know I'm going to be doing 2 different things, I'll have a little tray of water and just sort of toss it into a tray of water, and then it will be ready to go. So I like to take my Perfect Pearls, get a little bit of it in the lid so that I don't overdo it. And then if I can see where I put that Perfect Medium, just start pouncing it around on that wet surface.
And you can see how that shape of the butterfly is starting to take place.
I'm going to sort of do that. So. Yeah, so you just move it around.
Right.
You want different colors in different areas.
In fact,
you can get out.
Let me bring in, so the purple on the edges, the green in the center, and blue for the antenna. A little bit of blue on the body too. But you can see the translucent look that it gives. Chalk will be not quite as translucent, but it will give you a similar look.
You do have to remember that when you're done with that process, putting the different colors on the different areas, you do have to spritz it with water or heat set it with a heat gun, or it can rub off too easily.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Now, that's really been the class part of this page, but let's just take a look. I like the ribbon being looped and then coming out and cut into a V up here on the title page. So just really nice there. We've got 2 photos, and again, one of the mini templates has been used.
Just part of it peeking out there.
Right.
There is kind of one other class on here if you'd like to see it.
I do. Tell me.
Okay, so if you look up at the corners, you see some coloring there.
You're right.
So I took what I did for that, to have it to work on a photo. I masked it off with some Post-it notes, or you can use tape.
And this is the framed one.
This is the frame, right?
Okay.
So I'm just using that little corner. I've got a photo here. I'm going to set it right over there. Just
so right on the corner.
Right on the corner. Then I'm going to take one of my Perfect Pearls here, open it up. I'm going to use a small brush first with a little bit of water. And whoops, I didn't have my craft mat. I just want to get a little water on here so that I can pick up some water. Then I'm going to get
I ruined your alignment, I'm afraid. I was trying to save you.
That's all right. I just wanted to get that. There we
go.
So I'll get that right in the center. So I've got a little bit, so that you can see it, of the Perfect Pearls with a little bit of water, and I really kind of want to make a paste with it because I'm not going to use the brush to apply it. It's just a little bit too watery. Just want to make sure you know this. That now I've got a paste with it. I've got a sponge, and I'm going to sponge it through.
So you don't need the Perfect Medium to attach it?
No, I don't.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you get it into it like a paste, it's like a paint, and it will just go through it like that.
Son of a gun, I didn't know that.
You do have to sort of experiment with the, Yeah, oh yeah, you know, okay, so maybe you don't know this either. You can take Perfect Pearls, put it in a spray bottle with water and mist it.
Well, that I knew, but
Okay,
you know,
so
this
sure,
is kind
the
of
water,
the opposite. So you can dilute it, but this
right,
is kind of making it thicker.
Right, making
and using it like
a paste,
yeah.
and then a paint, and there we go.
Wow.
You have to get the right sort of, it has to be sort of pasty. There, now I'm going to move this off, pick up my stencil.
Let you just see that corner.
There.
Oh,
so I did just
so
part of it.
Really close.
I did just a little part of it, but
Very
you can see it.
pretty. Well,
and it is shimmery. That's what I like about Perfect Pearls.
So
it's got that
that's what
shimmery
you've done
effect.
on that photo, and you've just done one corner, and you've done opposite corners. Very nice.
And I actually kind of combined the blue and the green together to get sort of a
Of course you did. Of course you did. Gail would do that.
Sure.
Here's the companion page, and this one, there are 3 butterflies floating going off the edge, and there is the corner treatment that is on the butterfly stencil, and then again you've duplicated that corner painting, I guess, with the Perfect Pearls. We'll get an even closer just to see that sweet little look. So again, on opposite corners of opposite photos, and just really nice. And all of our butterflies have that very pretty ribbon.
Right, it's got the ribbon right on the center, and then I liked using that corner treatment from the butterfly stencil just to sort of block the end of that photo there.
I love all the colors. That's just gorgeous.
Did we talk about?
We did not.
We want to?
Okay.
So within this, some of the journaling, I actually did a little haiku poem, and I didn't find one that I liked for the little blossoms, so I made one, and they're super simple. If you want to do a haiku poem, you just have to remember 5-7-5. 5 syllables in the first line, 7 in the second, and 5 in the last, and just use descriptive words and have fun.
Okay, so tiny pink petals fluttering like butterflies, fly cherry blossoms by Gail. Very nice, very appropriate there.
And it's fun.
It is, well, neat. Now our last is a double page spread that has a masculine feel. Now you may be wondering, what are you going to do with butterflies, ladies? Well, we're not going to use butterflies, people.
We're going to use those zigzag stripes. And when Debbie saw these papers, she thought Southwest immediately when she saw that, and I thought that was just perfect for this, in that it's about bikes, boys, and motorcycles, and it's interesting that she was able to use the swirls from the frames, etc., to get a unique look.
Let's get in a close down here, and I thought this was just brilliance of taking her stencil and using it right down here to put a border treatment with the embossing paste just right along the bottom of that black paper that's part of the set. And this is the one that has the kind of tone-on-tone V's on it.
Right, I love that. So that's just, it looks like bike treads going across the desert.
That was Debbie's feeling that it would look like that. Also bike treads, she felt like the web ribbon really gave that texture also. And these are some of the swirls from the same one. Oh, you're going to do that? Okay.
Really briefly, mask off a swirl, get out some of the embossing paste, put it through there like so. And since we were already talking about Perfect Pearls, Debbie used the same set to add on to that.
Now, if something like this happens, you can just take your finger or a toothpick, I find, and just
get it
scrape
off
them
from
off.
underneath. So it was a little messy. I'm not going to fix it all right now. Take a little of the Perfect Pearls and just sort of pounce it on there. And I think she said it would be easier to pounce it on there with the stencil in place so that you don't get it all over. But afterwards, you can brush it off, and that will dry on there. And when you're done, you'll get that look you see there.
So you've got rum going along.
Right. Then you just cut them out individually.
Now the bikes, you may not think swirls would be appropriate on a motorcycle page, but you would be wrong.
Yeah,
now,
it looks like little smoke trails coming out of the back of a bike.
Now this was just done with a pen. So no special tools required, just with a pen. So it's nice to have that, how striking it looks. And these are the stickers as well as All stickers are used on this for journaling.
And I love that the mini template was actually used in place here. The edges of it were inked a little bit so that they would get a little bit darker. I don't know, boys and dirt maybe.
It could be. We're both mothers of boys, so we're familiar with that. I like how the ink pad was used. You know, we do a lot to try to not get straight lines with our ink pads, but Debbie used it perfectly here to kind of rough up the edge of that label.
Yeah, a nice job on that.
Yeah, 2 photos, and then her companion page has 4 photos. So we're not doing, we're doing the same repetition of the elements, but just no journaling and no title page.
Right, and that web piece here was all the way, as it was on the other page, all the way across, but some photos on top, some photos underneath. It's just a nice technique.
And that's why you get 24 inches, so you can do them on both pages. You can see the swirls coming out. So that is what we have for August, and you can see just the wide variety of beautiful looks. And what we will have as a bonus is something.
There's a template there. Yeah.
So for this webisode, in addition to the August kit, you would receive the 15 butterflies and dragonflies template. Now you can also do all these processes using this type of template also, as well as cutting them out of pattern paper.
Right.
And so that's a nice treat. And just to show you one final sneak peek, we have the September scrapbooking classes kit, and that has already been delivered to members.
And this has got some great elements in it too. This has been a really fun one.
It has been, and this has a new paper set that's only available to members, and then one that's being released in January that will be called a hopscotch that I'm not going to show you. But the class this time is all around iris folding. So members will receive 2 iris folding templates. They will receive the 24 12 by 12 pattern papers, one of them double-sided. They'll also receive all of these foil papers, which are also perfect.
And they're beautiful. They're perfect for iris folding because they fold, they get a nice clean line.
Right, they're
Super
very
bright.
soft. Gold piece, we've got some die cuts, we've got a pocket library folder, we've got tons of ribbons and tags and things.
Lots of fun things. One of the things I like about the iris folding templates, you don't just have to use them for iris folding. There you go, you have a template for a bird or for a jar. I mean, you can use them for lots of things.
Well, and a couple of the ideas of seeing iris folding on scrapbooking, and I have to say I've not seen it done with scrapbooking before this kit. I have seen it on card making. But how fun to have it on scrapbooking, and you can see what a nice job it does in coordinating with the papers and with scrapbooking.
Right.
We've got a fun one with pinwheels. We've got canning jars used with the iris folding and without. We also have a really fun pennant as well as a back to school layout. So that's a sneak peek of September. So if you are interested in joining the scrapbooking classes, personal shoppers, there'll be a link on the page. It's also on the homepage of Paper Wishes, and we'd love to have you as a member.
Absolutely, and hope you enjoyed this week of webisodes for the scrapbooking classes, personal shoppers.
Scrapbookers, we heard you and we delivered.